And good morning. This is a just a real brief call to action, essentially. That in 2022, in the state of Illinois, despite the state recognizing or getting such positive results of legalizing marijuana, not one of the current dispensaries are owned by a black person, basically. That's what's happening in the state of Illinois. So I am calling for a moratorium on marijuana purchases and AAA game purchases for 2022. What can you do? Do not buy any cannabis products from Zen Leaf, Verilife, Rise. Those are the three around me, or any that you know of, as not one of these businesses are owned by a black person, and not one of the 21 licenses approved by the state of Illinois were a minority. Not one. It's impossible to imagine. As 2022 is an election year in Illinois, we should press the candidates who are asking for your vote on what their position is in terms of licensees for African Americans. Because again, not one of the current 21 licensees granted in the state of Illinois are minority owned. Not one. It's impossible to understand how the auditing firm KPMG found not one black applicant. Not one black applicant was approved. Not one. It's disingenuous on the surface. So these are the three I know of: Zenleaf, Verilife, and Rise. And again, any that you know of, do not support them. Do not buy from them until such time that the licensees that are in the queue for minority-owned businesses in this whole horrible, unfair process is undone, and that applicants are judged on the basis of their merits to do business in conjunction with the state ordinances. And until such time, do not buy marijuana in the state of Illinois. It's an election year in 2022. Candidates will be asking for your vote. And one of the things that you should be asking them is about this disparity in the marijuana retail licensing process and what their position is. And do not take mumbo jumbo for an answer. There should be an immediately granting of the licensees in the queue, of which there are over 120 applicants. Many of them having spent hundreds of thousands of dollars to get approved, having spent that money, and now once they do get that licenses, may end up having to sell those licenses to recoup something, because they won't have any money to actually put into the business at this point. It's all tied up. So that's what's happening in 2022, and that's what's going forward. And now, in association with the pot moratorium, do not buy any AAA games. Instead, support indie developers. Do the look-see behind the curtain before you buy, and don't support the toxic environments fostered by the AAA gaming houses. There are many of these places, Blizzard, Bungie, that have substantial accusations lodged against them. They have admitted apologies, and they haven't done jack to change that situation. So in 2022, I'm calling on you to use your pocketbook to change the game. Do not spend money on any marijuana purchases, any CBD purchases, because not $1 is going to a black-owned business. And it's unfair. It's just patently unfair. And do not support these AAA gaming houses, again, because they are fostering an atmosphere of exclusivity. They're excluding people from commerce by these actions, and that's unfair. And the only way to hit them is in the pocketbook. Change comes from the profit motive, not being altruistic. Save your money. Do not spend it on those folks that propagate exclusion. All right? So, again, this is exclusively for the folks in Illinois. And as you can tell, I'm pretty revved up about this. So, again, I am calling for a moratorium on all marijuana purchases and all AAA game purchases in the state of Illinois until such time that the licensee challenge has been fixed by the state and these operators are granted license and they are able to open their businesses, just like the white operators who somehow were approved at the expense of every other applicant. It is just disingenuous. So for the state of Illinois, again, a moratorium. Do not buy, just suck it up. Do not buy legal pot. That's what I'm calling for. Do not buy legal pot. Forget it. Don't go down that road because they are practicing unfair business practices. The whole thing is skewed. They're taking money out of, especially for the black and brown people who are buying pot, they're taking your money and they are not putting it back into your community. They're just taking it and it's going out of Illinois, one, and two, it's not coming back to you. So that's the message of the day. I hope you take it with stride. I hope you go out and do your own research, but the facts of the matter are clear. There is not one minority-owned retail dispensary in the state of Illinois. All the other licensees that they tried to grant have been held up by legal cases and particularly judges who have stalled application of the state trying to address the inequity that they admit is built into the system. So again, 2022, no pot purchases until black-owned operated dispensaries have been granted their license and then they can go to business. So again, that's what I'm talking about in 2022. I want you guys to be well out there, but don't take this stuff lightly. This is real. This is dollars and cents. This is how neighborhoods can change. This is how money can flow back into communities. Imagine, if you will, that building permits only allowed white hardware store operators to open, or white owners of auto repair places where only they were granted business license through some arcane mechanism, and somehow every other black applicant who wanted to own a auto repair business was denied on some administrative level. It's crap. It's garbage. And the marijuana business is just like any others. There are requirements to go to business, just like there are requirements to do anything in commerce in the state of Illinois. This is one of the most unfair scenarios, especially on the backs of all those black and brown people who have been arrested for marijuana purchasing, possession, and now it's all legal, and guess who gets to make money? It's disingenuous on the surface. All right? So without further ado, I'm going to leave that moratorium sign. I want you to think about it for the state of Illinois. There are some unfair business practices going on, and we should not be supporting these dispensaries to the tune that we are, to the tune of $1 billion in sales. It's just disingenuous on the surface. Thanks for listening.